Special Transport Normandy Beach is not departing from Docking Bay 6A. All assigned personnel, please report immediately.
Such great hatred for so little real reason seems incomprehensible to me.
Human ways are often unfathomable. But in time, one learns to live with them.
If one has an exceedingly strong constitution.
Welcome back, friends. I totally forgot how we opened this podcast. It just left my mind.
This is which podcast?
Oh, wait. Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
And this is
We Are All Kosh.
a Babylon 5 rewatch. You remembered it the last second, and I am so proud of you. You know, what's really funny is that normally when people have more than one podcast, it's like different people doing the podcast, not two people doing many, many podcasts. I don't know. Maybe that's weird. I don't know. I always feel like we should be more popular than we are. So if you know people that you think would like our podcast, like, do please tell them about us. That's there. Did you like my marketing? Because that's literally all the marketing that I do. I figure people will find it. I believe in fate.
Yes.
I think we will find our way to the people that need us.
This is us sending vibes out into the universe to find our people.
That's exactly. And you know what? It's kind of sort of worked because we did get quite a fun group of people together over Come in 81 Kilo. And I kind of hope we have the same thing happen over We Are All Kosh, because if anything is needed in our day and age, it is community. And I want to pause for a minute because, oh boy, was this an episode.
This is a roller coaster.
And wow, oh wow.
Especially considering current climate.
Does this hit different than the last time I watched it?
It hits different when you're in the middle of a fascist overthrow. It's not even an overthrow. He's elected.
Coup. A coup.
A coup. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I want to put out there that unlike Babylon 5, you are not all alone in the dark. There are people out there who believe the same things that you do. We are some of them. That is why we do these podcasts. Because yes, it's fun. Yes, it's about a fictional property. Yes, a lot of it is just us having fun and hopefully you enjoying us with our stupid jokes and our over-analytical way of watching television. And I really hope you enjoy that because we do, and I love sharing it with you guys. But something else that I want you to know that we share is that I believe, and I've said this on every podcast, so if you haven't figured this out yet and you're suddenly mad because we're woke, that every single human being is a valid human being and that you are allowed to decide how to live your life and that you should have the freedom and the joy of expressing yourself for exactly who you are.
And this podcast is a safe place, except for Nazis.
Yeah, fuck Nazis. So anyway, I just want to get that out of the way before we talk about Babylon 5, Season 1, Episode 7, The War Prayer. Because we have the joy of recording this right now. Right now, on January 31st, 2025. And I'm not going to lie. If you are not in the United States, I'm sorry. This probably doesn't feel like it applies to you, but the world is a little bit falling apart. And then to watch something which feels almost prophetic. And oh my God, you guys, I love you so much, but it is going to get worse because we are going to come back to this in Babylon 5, and it is going to feel like, wow, did they really know that was going to happen? I remember watching this and being like, wow, that is like the worst possible thing that could happen. I don't think I ever saw myself watching this and going, I could literally look at the news and the same thing is happening.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to do our best to keep this light and fun, because I feel like that is our form of resistance right now, is to find a little moment of joy in what is otherwise just a shitstorm of unhappiness. So, all right, that I'm going to say it and I'm done. And we're not going to keep bringing up, unless it feels appropriate,
Right.
current events. So I'm just gonna, we're gonna put that on the table.
Stick a pin in it.
Not really stick a pin in it, because that implies I'm gonna come back to it. I'm gonna set it on this plate, and I'm gonna put it on this table, and it's there, and we've talked about it,
And we're in a different room.
and now we're gonna move on. We had to do this a couple times with Forever Night because they tried to tackle some pretty difficult things in that would have been very controversial in the 90s and are now very difficult to talk about because they were using language we no longer use.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of an interesting position to be put into, because they're trying to be progressive, and yet 30 years later it hits different. And I'm not sure that when JMS wrote this, he ever imagined that it would be viewed quite in the climate that it's being viewed in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've put on this plate. So Babylon 5, Season 1, Episode 7, The War Prayer, opens with Delenn entertaining a guest in her quarters.
Another Minbari.
A girlfriend. Delenn has a girlfriend over for dinner. And it is her talking to her friend Mayan about this poetry performance that she just put on. And she's like, oh my God, that work that you performed last? And Mayan's like, yeah, in the light of two moons. You're right. If you're about to tell me that you recognized it, you did, because I actually wrote that a long time ago. So when we were young and dumb and we were together and we were loving our lives because we were young, I probably told you some parts of it, but it was when we were too young to know anything about anything. We could only feel and wonder at what it all meant. And she actually calls it poor and groping for meaning. And I want to take a minute. Like, I love Mayan. I don't want to, I'm just going to right now. It feels a little bit like Mayan is wearing a one size all fits crest, like one size fits all crest, because there is a moment in a minute when she tips her head back and actually pushes her crest up on her head, and you can see the whole thing move. And they cut away real quick, but this really just illustrates the budget limitations that we had for Season 1. So if you felt yourself growing increasingly frustrated by the sets or the makeup or the costuming of Season 1, they were literally like, here's a pack of Kleenex and a pound of cocaine. Go make a TV show. So, that's our usual scale for television, how much cocaine was given as part of the budget. And it feels like not much, but like some. So there was limitations, and they're doing really good. So if you notice that moment where her crest wiggles a little bit, just kind of shh. It's
Just
fine.
don't worry about it.
Just don't worry about it. It's fine. And Delenn is like, oh, I remember it. I remember you performing it. And Mayan's like, oh, I thought you might. I knew you'd remember my poetry. And Delenn says, our lives were simpler then. So Mayan sees this as an opening, and she goes in with, do you regret the choices you made to be here? That is a far more loaded question than we know yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just don't tie a string off, but this is a thing that you can stick a pin in, because the path that Delenn took to be here in this moment, we do not have a full appreciation of for a long time. But it's twisty and it sticks the landing. So, yeah. And Delenn says, sometimes, but only sometimes. I don't always regret being here. There are moments where I kind of regret it, but for the most part, no. I'm happy with why I'm here. Are you? Do you regret your life? And she's like, I perform poetry for a living. No, I don't regret my life. I'm literally like a beatnik poet. I like to, like, I know they want us to think this is like the one from the religious episode where there's somebody strumming a harp and she's performing this sort of lyrical poetry. But I like to think it's just like a beatnik poetry where she's like, in the light of 2 moons. And it's just, it's her with sunglasses. Everybody's inexplicably smoking. There's only candlelight and everyone's dressed in black and they just snap after everything. That's how I want you to picture Minbari poetry. I know that's not how they want you to, but it gets better if you think of it as beatnik poetry. And she's like, anyway, it's been a really long day and I gotta bounce. I got another performance in the morning and then I'm headed to Earth. And Delenn goes, oh, I hope they appreciate the wisdom you bring. That's not exactly how she phrases it, but that's what she means.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what she says, but she's not like, oh my God, I hope they appreciate your wisdom. She's like, well, I hope they appreciate your wisdom. And she goes, if they don't, I'll retire to a dock's house and devote the rest of my life to the songs of Hifa. I mean, oh my God, same. This was definitely supposed to be a world building sentence, but I think dock's house has a meaning. Like, I think a dock's house is like a brothel. Let me check on that. Okay, it turns out that's a straight up lie. In my mind, dock's house was something entirely different. So anyway, we've all been here for this journey that I just went on. But she says, I'll retire to a dock's house. And Delenn is like, okay, yeah, right. Like, you're not going to do that. And I really love that they have these fun blue tops of their heads. Pattern. Like right in front of their crest is this like blue pattern. Yeah. Which kind of feels like the fluke on a whale. Like it's always unique. But then they also have a similar pattern in their nails.
I had not noticed that.
And I want to just point out and like thank the makeup artist that made that decision, because that would have been in no way visible on a CRT TV.
Right.
So they definitely went all the way down to the fine definition of having similar shaped blue patches on their fingernails, which is pretty cool. And I need to look up and find out, or maybe somebody can just tell me, is that ring that Delenn has like tattooed on her finger, is that Mira Furlan, or is that a thing that Delenn has?
Yet another secret.
Is that from when she used her gravity ring?
Did it leave a mark?
She forgot to wear her gravity glove underneath of it. And so now she has a mark. I don't know. It's interesting. And my aunt's leaving. And so Delenn's like, let me walk you to your house. Like, I'll take you back to your quarters. It's no problem. And her friend is like, no, you're tired. I'm tired. I'm just going to walk home. It's going to be no problem. I feel completely safe. I'm just going to go. And so she leaves and she's walking back to her quarters and she gets ambushed, stabbed, and branded. We get this dumb knife flicking scene where it's like, because apparently in the future we still use those dumb knives that like unfold with an elaborate series of hand motions. And then they stab her and they tell her, stay away from Earth, freak, and then brand her on the forehead. And I promised that I wouldn't talk about politics, but I just want to point out one thing, which is that the brand that they put on her forehead is quite literally the symbol for both genders. And I know JMS didn't know what he was doing when he did this. I'm not sure he realized the war cry of the new Nazi party would be anti-trans.
Yeah.
But there it is, right there. Anyway, the symbol that they use has a really complex history. We tried to figure out exactly what it's used for now, and what we came up with was bigender, which is someone who experiences both genders.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what is intended here is just human.
Yes. Human male, human female.
Human male, human female. It's an interesting thing that was used, that he didn't create this totally made up symbol, that he was like this. And it's not something we're gonna solve. So I was just gonna put it out there.
Yeah.
Anyway. There that is.
So
And-
we pretty quickly cut to the med lab.
Well, we go to the intro from there.
Oh,
She's like
okay.
laying bleeding on the ground with this brand on her forehead, and we go to the intro. And then we come back actually to Delenn being very rightfully pissed off that this happened.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Feminine rage.
Just rage, like legitimate rage. And she's like, Shalmayan is a fucking treasure. And this attack isn't just against my people. It is against the soul of my entire race. And Sinclair is like, well, I promise we're going to catch him. And she's like, oh, you promised you're going to catch the bad guys? Great. Is that going to take Mayan's pain away? Is that going to take away the fact that she was almost murdered? Is that going to take away her terror? Her humiliation? Is that going to take away the last 24 hours of her life where this happened to her? Is that how you're going to fix this? Oh, you're going to catch him? That's real great. And Garibaldi's like, well, I told her she should have had an escort during her stay, and she refused. And wow.
The wrong thing to say.
Wow.
This is an outrage, Commander. An outrage. Shalmayan is regarded as a cultural treasure by my people. This brutal attack affects not only her person, but the soul of my entire race.
We'll get whoever's responsible, I promise you.
Will your promises take away Mayan's pain, her terror, her humiliation?
I told her she should have an escort during her stay. She refused.
Mayan could not conceive of anyone wishing her harm. And there was a time, Mr. Garibaldi, when one could walk through Green Sector without need of escort.
I assure you, we're doing everything we can to correct that, Ambassador.
Then you are required to do better, Commander. Much better.
I got to be honest with you. I didn't have increasing dislike for Garibaldi on my bingo card for this rewatch. But the minute he said that, I was like, ugh.
Did
And
it give you the ick?
that is absolutely a 2025 perspective. That is us looking at the way that we look at law enforcement now and applying that to Garibaldi. And I know that. But in my heart, I was like, fucking gross. It was like, well, what was she wearing?
Oh, yeah, it's victim blaming. Yeah,
I did
absolutely.
tell her not to walk around alone, and she walked around alone. And Delenn, to her credit, immediately looks at him and is like, yeah, well, she should be able to walk through the corridors of Babylon 5 and be safe, Mr. Head of Security Garibaldi. She goes, Mayan recites poetry. She can't conceive of anyone meaning her harm. And there was a time, Mr. Garibaldi, when someone could walk down the corridor here and not be in danger. And if you'll recall, the president that they elected was elected on a platform of refocusing Earth's resources on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And Sinclair goes, I can assure you we're doing everything we can to correct that, Ambassador. Yes, our wider government may be becoming more isolationist and more nationalistic, but we are working to make it safer here. And she goes, then you are required to do better. Thank you, Delenn, for the script that I needed for the rest of my life. Oh, you're trying? Great. You need to try harder. You are required to do better, much better. And then we come back to a kind of an orphan line where Garibaldi is talking to Sinclair, and we come from the outside of the station in. So this is a new moment. Delenn has stormed off, rightfully so. And we find out that this is the 6th attack on a prominent alien in the last 2 weeks. This is the 6th time in 14 days that somebody on this station has been stabbed and attacked. And it is not just happening here, it is happening on Mars and everywhere. That is fucking wild. That means that this is happening almost every other day on Babylon 5 right now.
Yeah.
And this is happening because there is a group called not the Proud Boys. It's the Home Guard.
Home Guard.
Called the
right.
Home Guard. And according to the latest security update, their numbers are growing daily, and they aren't even the only pro-Earth group. And Sinclair is like, pro-Earth? Fucking pro-Earth? They're nothing but hate peddlers playing off fear and ignorance to turn human against alien. I'm going to say that one more time for the people in the back. They're nothing but hate peddlers playing off fear and ignorance to turn human against alien. But I won't have it here. I want these scum. And Garibaldi responds with, I mean, I'll do my best, but the problem is there's too many that agree with them, and many more that just don't give a damn. Can we sit with that for a minute? Sinclair is like, I want these motherfuckers. They are literally creating an atmosphere of fear and distrust in order to create violence and to drive a wedge between humanity and the other races. And Garibaldi's like, I mean, I'll try, but it's a big fucking wedge. Garibaldi, that is literally your job. You are theoretically a peacekeeper.
Right. I wonder.
I don't remember having a problem with this, but I do now.
A detail that keeps popping up in our observations is how few security staff we actually see.
I wonder if they have minimal security presence because it's supposed to be diplomatic.
Yeah.
And so they may be relying on the ambassadors to provide a lot of their own security details.
And because you're screening everybody coming into the station, maybe they assume that they're filtering out most of the bad actors.
It's a big assumption.
Yeah.
It's a huge assumption. Considering they can have an attack every other day and they can't fucking figure out how to stop it. It's, honestly, this isn't something I thought I'd have a problem. Like, I knew this was coming, but I didn't see myself feeling this way about this when this came up, which is like, why is Garibaldi not doing something? Why are there not routine patrols? Yes, she refused to have a security detail. That didn't mean you couldn't have people stationed around the alien core. There's like an area where most of the aliens stay. You can't increase security in that area. You can't do drone sweeps. You can't do... we could find the changeling net by changing our own interior sensors. We can't do sensors to just pick up when people are in certain areas. We can't do that. Okay. I need a minute because this episode was so triggering and was so difficult to watch because of the subject matter, and then also because of the way that Garibaldi responds to the subject matter. Because he's like, I mean, nobody gives a shit. So it's really hard to get I get what he's saying, which is nobody's turning them in. We're not getting human tips. We're not getting people talking about, hey, my buddy was out last night. I think he might have been one of the ones, because they maybe agree. And I get what he's saying, but also like, oh my God.
That's not an excuse.
His immediate dismissal is like, I mean, but there's a lot of people that agree. So it's like, it's hard. I have to put down my copy of The Universe Today and I have to go out and do my fucking job. I don't know. And Sinclair goes, okay, then make them give a damn. Find their button and push it. Figure out what makes them care that these people are doing what they do. And Garibaldi ends up walking away. And Jakar pops out. And this is such a 180 from the Jakar of the last episode. It's honestly one of my biggest criticisms of season 1 is that we end up using Jakar as a catalyst for conflict far more often than really suits his character. Because while I do believe that Jakar would do this, I'm not necessarily certain he would do it in the heavy-handed way that he ends up doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he basically walks up and he's like, this is some bullshit. All these aliens keep getting attacked. And I don't have any great love for Minbari poets, but I can tell you this right now. If a Narn gets attacked, there's going to be violence. And Sinclair says, if there is any disruption of Babylon 5, it will be dealt with, even if I have to throw the entire Narn population into the brig. And if we could whoop, whoop, whoop for a minute, this is a space station that is not majority human, which means he's willing to throw every Narn in the brig for a singular disruption. But an alien has been attacked every other day. They have a very legitimate reason to believe it is the human population, and they have done nothing to isolate the human population from the alien population to prevent the attacks.
Yeah.
I just want to put that on the table.
Well, yeah, I think what Sinclair is implying is an organized Narn uprising would be dealt with by putting all of those Narns in the brig, but not...
I will accept your justification because I want to continue seeing Sinclair as the good guy.
It's the Jakar implication of...
There will be violence.
Group action.
Okay.
It's not... Like, if anybody else does any violence, they're getting captured. They're getting put in prison. And as a group, you'd be able to identify the group. Yeah. I'm not defending... Sinclair's dismissal.
Nobody comes out of this episode smelling like a rose.
No.
Nobody. And I think that's an important point. And it's actually, when we come to the next season and we get our new commander, one of the biggest criticisms of him, I think, in the fan community that I've seen anyway, is that he is a good guy. Like, he is a squeaky clean good guy. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I think that it is necessary for us to have fictional characters that are good. I think,
a little more idealized forms of the character.
I think the gray good guy has a place. I think the anti-hero has a place, but I think the hero character, the golden hero character, has his place. And I think that his place is in season 2 through 4 of Babylon 5, because I think it's necessary for us to see good people. And I don't think Sinclair is that character. I think Sinclair rides a very fine line of, we've seen it already in the first couple of episodes where he's willing to lie, he's willing to bluff, he's willing to cause violence. He's
willing to put his own life at risk.
Yeah. In order to get what he wants in the end, for the greater good.
Yeah.
That he's willing to make sacrifices for the greater good. And the question that we really need to ask ourselves is it always okay? Does he always make the right choice? And I don't know. I don't have an answer for that, but I think it's important for us to examine. It's always important to question our heroes. It's important to question whether or not the way that I know how we're supposed to see the way Sinclair reacts to what happens in this. We're supposed to see it as he's really putting his foot down. He's really trying to figure out what's happening. He's really trying to be the good guy in this. But that is a lot of violence to happen without there being any significant action being taken to stop it from happening.
Right.
So you can kind of see Jakar's point.
The first couple would result in heightened patrols.
Yeah, in something.
Yep.
Literally someone is being harmed every other day. What are we doing? Clearly not enough, because Jakar doesn't think it's enough. But we come back to MedLab and they're talking to Mayan. And she's like, I saw a shadow. I got stabbed by a shadow. I got nothing. I mean, that's really all I know. And Garibaldi's like, okay, was it a big shadow? Was it a shadow with more than 4 limbs? Was it like, describe the shadow? She's like, it was a shadowy shadow. I don't know what to tell you. If I knew anything, I'd tell it to you. All I remember is a shadow and the pain. And then she points at her forehead and goes, and this, my new brand. And Garibaldi goes, okay, well, is there anyone who would want to harm you? Which is a legitimate question. That's usually the first question you ask. Although clearly they have not harmed the additional 5 aliens as a way to lead up to Mayan, but it's fine. It's okay. He's covering his bases. They have, but it's not like her personal enemies were harming 5 other people.
Right.
And she goes, I perform and write tila, which are poem songs that attempt to recall old memories and prompt new ideas. And while a number of them have provoked discussions of some real heat, I have never before been stabbed and branded, Mr. Garibaldi. And he's like, okay, thank you for your time. And so he leaves. Yeah. And Dr. Franklin goes, I could get that mark out. Like, if you wanted to get rid of that brand, I can make that happen. And she goes, no, I don't want to. It's a lesson. And it is one that should not be forgotten. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, we have our other gut punch plot line that's carrying on. And it is 2 Centauri who are detained when they land on the station. And they need to be handed over to someone of command rank. And Ivanova says that because she turns to Garibaldi when he walks in and she's like, we have 2 Centauri and somebody needs to go get them. And I think it's going to be you, Garibaldi. And he's like, I'm pretty sure it needs to be you. I am up to my eyebrows. I have casualties lined up out the door at this point. I have literally am busy. And she's like, I'm busy. There's ship stocking and shit. She's not the same busy, right? I get his point in this because he's like, I'm busy. And she's like, well, I'm busier. And he's like, okay, all right, you know what? I'll do it. It's fine. And while I'm there, it's really funny. I found this planter in the hydroponics, and I know that our entire surface area is supposed to be dedicated to growing fruits and vegetables and oxygen generating plants. But this one looked a lot like a coffee plant. And I think while I'm out there, I'm just going to go ahead and rip it right out of the planter, which is just a real shame because those coffee beans looked just about ripe and they look really perfect. And Garibaldi and Ivanova is like, whoa. I'm going to take a walk anyway, and I guess while I'm out there, I'll go ahead and pick them up. And then as she walks by, she goes, you're a vicious man, Mr. Garibaldi.
What kind? Raiders? Hijackers?
Unknown. All he said was that they didn't appear to be dangerous, and he wanted to hand them over to someone of command rank. So, if you've got a minute.
I don't. Lieutenant Commander, I'm up to my eyeballs. I got every one of my people looking into these attacks.
It will only take a minute.
I don't have a minute.
Well, neither do I. Unless, of course, you'd like me to get the commander to do it.
Okay. All right. I'll do it. No problem.
Good.
Just one quick stop to make on the way. I found an illegal planter in the garden last week. Someone was actually using our hydroponic system to grow coffee. And as everyone knows, the garden is to be used only for fruits, vegetables,
Mr.
grains.
Garibaldi.
So I figured I'd just stop by and rip it right out of that planter. It's too bad. The beans look just about ripe, and coffee is so expensive to import.
Mr. Garibaldi! I think I'll take a walk, and while I'm out, I might as well stop by and pick up the detainees. You're a vicious man.
I'm head of security. It's in the job description.
And I get that this is supposed to be funny, and I laughed, but also I'm so mad at Garibaldi at this point in the episode that I'm not going to lie, I didn't laugh all that hard.
Yeah, it's not looking great for Garibaldi.
Yeah. And he goes, I'm the head of security. It's in the job description. Ugh. I get it. I fucking get it. I know. I'm trying so hard to stay in context right now. But wow, if you'd given me this episode a month ago, I was like a year ago, back in December, after a year of January has passed, I probably would have found this a lot funnier. But I'm not in love with Garibaldi in this episode, and I think that is okay. I think it's okay for us to change how we see his actions, as long as we keep in mind that that is not the way he is intended to be seen. This is looking back. As someone who is in the middle of something right now, cop propaganda was such a thing, and it still kind of is. And he's our cop propaganda character. He's our fall in love with justice, fall in love with due process, fall in love with the peacekeeper character. And that's fine. I'm just going to leave that right there. And it's okay for us to evolve the way we see this show. I think that's a hallmark of good media, is that our relationship with it can change and it becomes meaningful in a new way instead of becoming irrelevant. So we go to the Centauri kids. Kids. I'm going to call them kids for this whole episode because that's what they are. And they
literal children.
They are demanding to see Ambassador Koto.
Ambassador Koto?
That's funny. I didn't think that was Londo's last name.
Huh.
It's funny because you know what? It isn't. And this gives Ivanova the chance to reconnect with an old flame from 8 years ago. He's like, oh my God, Ivanova. And she's like, Malcolm, I haven't seen you in 8 years. She fires that off so quick. Do you know, I don't even know how old I am half the time. And she's like, oh my God, it's been 8 years, 6 months.
This guy is spewing red flags.
Oh my God, he is so gross. And you know,
kudos on this actor for pulling off this character.
I want to kill
so
him
well.
the entire episode. And I was trying to unpack this for myself when I was taking notes. Because a lot of times we watch the episode together and then I watch it again to take notes. And so I was watching this and I was trying to unpack my feelings because Sinclair does not come off the same way. He and his girlfriend connect in the same, like they meet again and then reconnect all in the same episode. And I loved the rekindling of their flame.
Mm-hmm.
And yet when Ivanova meets Malcolm, my immediate response was, ooh, fucking gross. And I think it's because she doesn't really respond sensually.
Right. Yeah. She's not responding in kind.
We don't get softer lighting.
overtures.
We don't get romantic music. We don't get like the romantic paint. We get nothing that...
We don't get the smile actually touching his eyes.
We get nothing that for us as viewers is saying that we want them to come together.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like, oh, I came to the station looking for something I've never stopped wanting. And you're like, oh, fucking gross. Did you bring a barf bag off the ship? Because I feel like I'm going to need a fucking barf bag. Every time I see him, I'm just like,
and to contrast with the Sinclair Catherine. I couldn't remember if it was Catherine or Carolyn.
Carolyn's the one with the frictionless sheets.
Yeah. I think the contrast with the Sinclair Catherine relationship is they both see each other and they basically say, I've missed you. Like, I've thought about you. I've missed our time together. Let's have dinner.
Yeah.
I want to show you the station because I'm
it's
proud
my
of
station.
it.
I'm proud of it. Yeah.
And then he shows up and he's like, I've been wanting you.
He's like, hey,
the
wanna
entire
fuck?
8 years.
He's like, hey, wanna
I've been
fuck?
gone.
Remember how we used to fuck all the time? I think we
Yeah.
should fuck again.
Right.
It's gross.
Yeah.
It's
it
really
is.
gross. He goes, did you miss me? And she's like, nah, not really. Cool. Let me love bomb you for the rest of the fucking episode. Meanwhile, the better love story is the Centauri kids because they're with not Ambassador Koto, Veer Koto. And the girl...
I was a little disappointed that we didn't get Londo chewing out Veer for pretending
not
to be
even
the
a little
ambassador.
bit. He's like...
We never even come back to the Ambassador Koto.
You know
thing.
why? Because Londo's like, I mean, who wouldn't want to be me?
I would have done the same thing.
I get it. It's fine. Because
I totally exaggerate my situation when I'm talking to other people daily. This is good practice for you, Veer.
Good on you, Veer. I'd have done the same thing. But Arya is like, you said you were ambassador. Your letters led me to believe you were ambassador. And he's like, I mean, you know.
I'm just practicing.
Like, details. Because this is a great disappointment to us, cousin. And then Londo walks in and he's like, what the fuck? What is happening? I was up at the casino table. Why am I here? And Sinclair goes, well, I suggest you ask Ambassador Koto. And Londo just goes, who? Who am I talking to? And Veer explains that Arya and Kieran, I think is his name. Although, you know what? It doesn't matter because we got We got Jeremy and Jason mixed up the entire Mind War episode. So if you don't realize that my brand is I can't fucking remember anybody's name for the life of me, welcome. Welcome to the Strange and Beautiful Network where Rachel can't remember anybody's fucking name ever. But Veer is like, Arya and my cousin, I do believe it is Kieran, arrived yesterday and they were immediately, or today, and they were immediately detained. And Londo's like, okay, Sinclair, I need an explanation. Why have you detained members of the glorious Centauri Republic? And Sinclair's like, I mean, the members of the glorious Centauri Republic should probably try not using stolen credit chips when they get here. And Londo's like, yes, okay. I get it. You were right. You may detain them. And Sinclair's like, lucky day, Londo. I'm going to release them into your custody. And Londo's like, what am I supposed to do with them? And he goes, well, you're always telling me that the Centauri are an advanced race. You figure it out, which is a great move. I love it. It would have been even better if it wasn't in the humans believe they are superior to aliens episode.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Malcolm is wearing an evil sweater. This feels like the most important part of this entire scene. No one who wears that sweater is up to any good. And he walks up to Ivanova, who has just gotten off of her shift and is trying to unwind for another love bombing session where he's like, oh my God, it's been 8 years. I missed you so much. Remember when we used to stay up all night talking and doing other stuff too? Malcolm, God, he's so much. I just fucking hate him so much. And Ivanova's like, great, cool. Actually, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. And he's like, you're leaving me already? And she's like, listen, it's been 8 years. We should probably take this slow. Then we come back to Veer explaining why the Centauri kids are here. And it's because they are fleeing arranged marriages. And Arya's like, yeah, I was promised to like the oldest guy on Centauri. And Kieran's like, yeah, and I was going to have to marry the absolute ugliest woman. And Londo's like, ugly, old, great. They must have been rich and powerful. I congratulate your parents on this excellent choice. I'm so glad they were able to make those kinds of connections. I don't see what the problem is. And Arya and Kieran are both like, well, we don't want to marry them. We want to marry each other. We love each other. And Londo goes, love? What does love have to do with marriage? And then he looks over to Veer and he mimes like, drink? Like, I'm going to need a drink to get through this. And Veer's like, yes, no, I will go get you one. And then he goes, my dear, beautiful children.
These marriages call for sacrifice. Great sacrifice. But we make this sacrifice because this is what it means to be Centauri. If you deny this tradition, you lose the very thing which makes you what you are. Do you understand?
But it's so unfair.
Consider for a moment what you are doing. We have had arranged marriages for thousands of years. Sometimes these marriages call for sacrifice. And then he gestures over at this picture of three women and he goes, great sacrifice. And they're like, but it's not fair. And what I'm going to do from here on out is split up the plots like I did last time, because to be honest, if I have to keep switching between Malcolm and the absolutely heart-wrenchingly deep and adorable Londo Malari plot, I'm not going to do Londo justice. So we'll go ahead and finish out Londo, and then we'll come back to the Home Guard. That's what it is. The Home Guard.
Well, maybe we should do the Home Guard first because there's a Home Guard relevant part of the Londo.
That's
plot.
true. I mean, you could go either way, but what would you vote?
Do the hard part first.
Okay, we'll get the hard part done because we go from the kids, which is fun because it's our first reference to the fact that he has 3 wives. And I think when his 3 wives finally actually show up, they're 3 completely different women. But doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is his his tragic backstory? Like, we're going to come back to it. We're going to come back to it.
His spin on his his tragic spin on his backstory.
Yeah. And we go from that to, honestly, one of the most triggering scenes in the entire episode, which is Garibaldi interrogating this guy that they think is related to... There's a cat rubbing his face on my microphone.
The guy who they think attacked Poet Lady.
And honestly, the most accurate part of this entire scene isn't the dialogue. It's that he is literally so dumb. He used this short sword to try to open a box and he cut himself on it.
Yeah.
You know you're not supposed to have a knife. This is not a knife. It's very generous to call this a knife. This is like a short sword. This is so big. And he holds it up like,
it's huge.
How did this guy get... That one dude couldn't get his ceremonial knife on, but this guy got this like 18-inch knife onto this. How? How did he get in pieces? Did he forge it on the ship? How did this happen? If I were Garibaldi, I would be instigating a much firmer how to shit get on this station plan, because shit is clearly getting on the station because somebody had to bring... We find out that they have these super secret, top secret camouflage robes things.
Yeah.
Those had to get on the ship. Those were in somebody's luggage. Do we not scan bags?
Okay. Here's how they did it. There are members of the security team that are also
there are.
On the home guard.
Yeah, there are. And don't get me started. Yeah. There are. That's what Garibaldi meant when he was like, the problem is that there's a lot of people that agree with them. Which was his way of saying, like, I can't maybe trust my own people, which is maybe, and this is just me going out on a limb here, why we should include non-human people in the security of Babylon 5. Like, maybe find a neutral party, contract with them, and have them start doing bag checks. You could even have them check behind people, and it would be a way for them to find out if other customs officials are letting things through.
Checks.
Yeah. I can think, hey, look at that. That took me 5 minutes to figure out. There's not a race in this entire universe that has no horse in this. Like, there's nobody who they can go to and be like, there's not the honesty planet. Can we find the honesty planet? The people that are pathologically honest and hire them? Like, if I was a member of a group that was pathologically honest, I would have leveraged that already.
Yeah.
Right? There's telepaths from other races. We could hire Minbari telepaths as a special one-off. Like, hey, we're not sure what's happened. Stuff is getting on the station. People are being attacked. We need to really crack down on this.
This isn't a long-term thing. This is a deep dive investigation to find the flaws in our process.
And look how that looks to the aliens who are afraid for their safety. You are like, I get it. Human beings are not safe right now. Let's hire representation for all of the races on Babylon 5 so you have someone in a position of authority on the station that you feel connected to, that you feel like you can go to. Don't you think that would help? Maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know. Just putting that out there, but we don't. We're not that. It's not that nuanced. It's fine. This guy is literally like, I cut myself opening a box. And Garibaldi's like, okay, but if this has Mayon's blood on it, I will give you to the Minbari. And I will let them play dice with your eyeballs, which is like the best line, honestly. And the guy goes, I got a right to defend myself. Have you seen the things walking around here? Oh my God, I almost threw up in the scene. Like the way this guy was like, if you just took out the word alien and you put illegal in front of it, this becomes a conversation I think I've seen on Fox News. Like it was horrific. It's horrific. He says, have you ever heard of the Home Guard? because Garibaldi's trying to figure out, is this guy in the Home Guard? Is this a guy who wants to be part of the Home Guard? Did he just buy the red hat? Is he really in the cult? Let's figure this out. And he's like, yeah, and if you ask me, they have the right idea. It's about time we human beings stood up for our rights. Anyway, Garibaldi's like, throw him in the brig. He's such a fucking moron. Like, this is getting us nowhere. We got to test the blood anyway. And the guy goes, I don't know what's worse, those damn aliens or the traitors who suck up to them over their own kind. I'm not going to say anything about that, but you could sit with it. You know what I'm thinking. I know what you're thinking. I hope I know what you're thinking. Either that or you've turned to, I can't believe this podcast is political, and you turned it off and left. Oops, I'm sorry. Did you think we were going to cover Babylon 5 without talking about what Babylon 5 is about? Meanwhile, Sinclair goes to Kosh for help, which I think is really fascinating because he's like, wow, I'm really out of my depth here. I've got nothing. I mean, I got something. You just call me. I can help you with this, clearly, because we came up with a pretty good plan, I think. But he goes to Kosh, and Kosh is watching a bit of telly. He has like a screen up. And every time I see this scene, it reminds me of that part in Fifth Element.
Yes,
when
that's exactly what this is like.
She's recovering in bed, and she gets to W, and it's like, war! And then it's bombs, and it's like her crying. And then just the same flipped images of all the horrific things that humans have done to each other. And so they're talking while these scenes are flashing in the background. And it's important to note that these are just pictures. There's no audio. This isn't a Ken Burns documentary.
He's got a Bluetooth headset on.
Oh, does he? Maybe it's built in. You know, my sister has a cochlear implant, and it has Bluetooth capability. So she can connect her phone to her cochlear implant, and she can play music on a device that is implanted in her head, which is pretty fucking cool when you think about it. So he's like, hey, so I'm in here to like talk to you about what's happening on the station. And Kosh goes, cool. Like, okay. He's like,
thanks, Kosh.
So do you have like can you help? Like, what can you do here? Like, what is it you say you do here, Kosh? Because this is the first time we've seen you in like 8 episodes.
He's supposed to be the ambassador from the Vorlons, right?
You know, he just sits in his room and orders snacks and watches television.
He doesn't participate in the meetings.
Maybe he's here for the same reason Londo is. He has 3 wives at home. And he's like, I just got to get out of here. But he goes, we take no interest in the affairs of others. And I have to wonder then
why are you
are you an ambassador? Because that feels like the job description is that you have interests in the affairs of others. But okay. He's there to just keep an eye on the station, specifically Sinclair. So, beep. I mean, we kind of knew that. Well, so he goes, well, if you could give us a hand. I love that that's the trigger for him to finally think about it. He's like, his hand. He could lend us a hand. Oh. And then he goes, you know what? Actually, what's that on the screen? What kind of TV is this? And he goes, what is that? What kind of viewer is that? I've never seen one like it before. And Kosh goes, efficient. Like, that's all he says. It's floating, by the way. It's like floating. Yeah. It's like organic shaped. It's definitely not regular everybody. So if he's trying to watch something square, it's cutting off the corners because it's like oval. Shh. It's fine. He goes, I'm studying. And Sinclair goes, studying what? And then literally his little eye thing goes and shuts up. And I thought, my first thought was, his sphincter puckered up because he just goes like, nope, nothing's getting out. It's like like he narrowed his eye at him. Like, yeah. It's the most human. Like, I love it. That's literally all he has. He has his sphincter aperture.
Yeah. And he can move his head around.
And then he can move the little port things, and that's that's it. And then he has his he cannot answer, and those are his 4 ways of expressing himself. So he literally just anyway, all I could think was, like your asshole puckers up when somebody asks you for money. That's all I could think of. And we do have kind of it's not a B plot because it's related to the A plot, but it's Ivanova, and it's Ivanova getting a rose from Malcolm. She opens her door, and my first thought was that could be a bomb. That could definitely be a bomb. There are people sneaking around this station.
No, it would be illegal to bring a bomb on the station.
Okay. Londo stuck an entire gun on the bottom of he glued a gun to the bottom of a lamp, and they were like, looks legit.
Or did he glue the lamp to the gun?
Regardless, my first thought was, that could definitely be a bomb. Like you have the Home Guard are on Babylon 5. They have been attacking people every other day. She opens her door, sees a mysterious package, and is like, well, I better open that immediately. It's fine. That's post 2001 talking. That's post 2001 talking. This is, if you will notice, there are not cameras. This is not the surveillance state that we live in now. It's really hard to describe how unubiquitous always being watched was.
Yeah.
I don't even remember thinking, where are the cameras?
Yeah, on the first watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, where are the cameras? They have floating fucking cameras. They could literally just send them on paths. It's fine. It's fine. And then Ivanova is back in the CNC after she gets her rose and she sniffs it. And she looks kind of like, aw, he's trying. And then she asks Sinclair, is there any word from Earth Central?
I think this overture goes over well because his face isn't there.
Well, he's not there going
it up.
To ask to be screwed. Yeah, hey, I got you a rose. Don't you think you owe me now?
Yep.
Yeah. Which is exactly his vibe.
Yeah.
Look at all they've done for you.
The absence of his implicit request is what makes this overture a little more palatable.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not there. He's just giving her a flower. But she's like, is there any word from Earth Central? And Sinclair's like, nah. But I've been thinking. I'm not thinking about the actual issue that's happening on the ship right now because that would be relevant. So what I've been thinking about is Kosh. And did you get briefed when you came on Babylon 5 about what happened? And she's like, yeah, he got poisoned or whatever. And he's like, yeah, he got poisoned through the hand. But he's always in an environment suit. How did he get it to his hand? You're thinking about that now?
So maybe this goes with JMS was known for being on the forums a lot. And maybe it came up on the forums like he got poisoned through the hand, but he's wearing this suit over his entire body. How did the attacker get the poison on Kosh's hand?
Well, if you will recall in the gathering when he exits his own ship, the atmosphere in the little walkway is suited to his needs.
Yeah, so maybe he's not in the suit yet.
So he could have unzipped the suit and been all right, theoretically. He's in it because remember when he falls down, he's the encounter suit just laying on the ground. And as we know from, he sticks his hand out to shake Sinclair's hand. But that could be why he wasn't fully in his encounter suit. Like he was wearing it, but he could have stuck a limb out. Could have had his
gloves off.
Yeah, he could take his gloves off. Whatever. We don't really talk about it. Ivanova's literally like, man, they're fucking mysterious. I don't know.
And this is where we fill in on what happened to the doctor, the first doctor from the gathering, and the telepath from the gathering.
Yeah, Ben and Talia.
Not Talia, Lita.
Yep, Lita. Remember, this is a part of our brand. Welcome. But Ivanova was like, we don't even know if they need the encounter suit. He could walk around naked and be fine. He could be me. I could be Kosh. You could be Kosh. We could all be Kosh.
What?
We are all Kosh. And Sinclair's like, yeah, I know, but like Ben knew. Ben Kyle, the first doctor who was here, he saw what he looked like without the encounter suit, but then he was immediately reassigned and he could never tell anybody because he pinky promised when he took his oath. It was legally binding. He could never, ever, ever say anything ever, not even like he had to forget it completely. And then Lita, who was our telepath, the only telepath to have scanned Avorlon, got assigned a week later. And Ivanova's like, great, so don't look at Avorlon if I want to keep this job. Got it. Because she's like, do you think there's a connection?
Everyone who's looked at Avorlon has been shuffled away somewhere.
Yeah, well, he got sent to work with the president, so...
And that
could be loose. That could be a loose interpretation.
They did not telepathically deep scan him.
You hope. You hope.
If he actually went to work with the president.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't even see it on a telepathic scan because he pinky promised, so it's perfectly fine.
That's how strong the
I love that they
doctor-patient
I'm never
is.
going to not be amused at how immediately they were like, well, he can do it because he has doctor-patient confidentiality, and that's completely binding, and it will protect everyone. Like that
No
will get
doctor
around.
has ever violated that. It's impossible.
It's going to be perfectly fine.
It's like the Sook training in Dune.
Yeah, it's unbreakable.
Yeah.
Completely unbreakable. He could not go to Interstellar Network News and tell everybody what a Vorlon looks like and make more money than he's ever going to make as a doctor and just give up his license.
Yep.
I was going to say Kosh government, and then I completely,
Vorlon.
thank you. What they were called left me. It left my soul. The Vorlons, what are they going to do? Sue him? They're going to have to come to Earth, but now everybody knows what they look like naked. They're not going to come to Earth. It's going to be
so
fun.
embarrassing.
So embarrassing. And then Sinclair calls Garibaldi up to the CNC. I don't know why Sinclair is suddenly hanging out there. It's fine. Don't question it.
It's the command and control center, and he's the commander.
Yeah, but he has a little
commands
office.
and controls.
He has a little office.
Oh, yeah.
So he's normally in his little office doing office work. He's not really like the help the ship's dock.
He should call his office the real command and control
traffic,
center.
This is like the flight traffic control center. This isn't necessarily like the command bridge. It's fine. But Garibaldi's like, the knife wasn't a match. And I could have held him just on the knife charge, but I let him go because I'm kind of hoping that the Home Guard is going to try to recruit him because, you can attract maggots with rotten meat.
Which is nice.
That was a good analogy,
Nice
Garibaldi.
analogy,
You are not forgiven, but you are on probation. That was a good line. And Sinclair's like, well, fucking great. He wasn't the guy. Somehow, this guy, the only guy on Babylon 5 with a knife, apparently, was not the bad guy.
No, he's not the only one. He's just the one who got caught.
He's just the one who got caught. And he was the one who was dumb enough to have blood on his knife because he cut himself opening a box and he didn't clean the knife.
I would have blood on my knife.
If anyone tried to open an Amazon box with a short sword, they would also have blood on their knife. That's my vision of this, is he literally got an Amazon delivery and was like, you know what, one year my brother got a giant Bowie knife for Christmas and he opened every package with the giant Bowie knife and we have it on video and it's hysterical. Tiny little package and he has this huge 12-inch knife. Anyway, welcome to America.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. All I want to do is watch America World Police.
Team America World Police.
Freedom isn't free. It costs people like you and me at least $1.50 plus a 25% tariff. So anyway, Garibaldi's like, I haven't had time to literally do anything at this point. There's fights breaking out everywhere. It's getting ugly. I'm actually having to do my job.
Ugh.
This sucks. And Sinclair goes, yeah, that's exactly what they want. If they can turn Babylon 5 into a war zone, then everything we've worked for will be destroyed.
You mean if they can distract us with shock and awe tactics?
Let me say that again one more time for the people in the back. If we can turn Babylon 5 into a war zone, then everything we've worked for will be destroyed. So we need to wrap this shit up. And then we come back to Malcolm and Ivanova, and I want to address Ivanova's outfit for a minute. Because this is the 4th time we've come to Fresh Air with different women.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got Talia, and she had that gorgeous black dress and her cool, sleek blonde bob that she has.
Yeah.
And we came here with Catherine, and she was wearing her usual uniform, but with a looser ponytail.
Yeah.
So, okay. Ivanova has both buns, a braid, a ponytail, and she has curled her hair. I'm trying to decide. And she's wearing this sequined she is over the top.
Oh, yeah.
Over the top. And I'm trying to decide why. And I have a feeling for myself, headcanon for me, is that she lets her hair down so rarely. She does her I literally take my hair out of its bun and I go to the casino in my flowy vest outfit and I have a drink. But I get asked out on a date so rarely that I literally went all out.
Mm-hmm.
I got the dress that I had in the back of my closet from prom, because that's what it looks like. I curled my hair. I couldn't decide. Did I want to do a bun? Did I want to do a braid? Did I want to do a ponytail?
Or
So I did all of them.
She went to the hairdresser and said, give me one of everything.
Make me one with everything.
It was like when you go order like a burger, what do you want on it? There's a phrase for get all the standard toppings.
Yeah, one all the way.
All the way.
Yeah, I want it all the way.
She went to the hairdresser and she said, I want an all the way.
That's what it looks like. And Claudia Christian is a beautiful woman. I like when she has her hair back pulled like really tightly, and also when her hair is really loose. But whatever is happening here is a lot.
Maybe they were going for unsettling vibe.
I feel unsettled. I felt unsettled by Malcolm already, and then this is a lot. Plus, maybe it's because in my mind, Ivanova is like me and she doesn't particularly play feminine.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you give her this overly feminine makeup, it looks like she's wearing a costume.
Yeah.
I feel it would fit her better if we put her in her casino outfit. If we literally took her hair down and just put her in a looser outfit.
Well, maybe it's supposed to feel like she is performing for Malcolm.
I think that's what it is.
And Malcolm has expectations.
I think that's what I'm going to frame it as in my head, is because I'm not sure we ever see her like this ever again. So I think she's trying to be the person she was when she was with Malcolm, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And 8 years ago, maybe this was the hairstyle that was in fashion. It kind of, to me, feels like she's slightly out of touch with what, if you asked me to dress up like a woman, like a fancy woman, and do your hair and all that stuff, I'd probably end up looking similar. Well, it's velvet and it's got beads, and so that makes it fancy. And I think I'll pull my hair back, but also maybe put it up, but also maybe leave it down. Like, I don't know. I can't do any of those things because my hair is like an inch long, but I get it. I just want to point it out because everybody else got the star treatment. And then Ivanova's character, Claudia Christian, they were like, I don't know, pick something off the rack.
Yeah.
We'll just figure it out. And he's like, so do you regret leaving me? And she's like, nah, dog. No,
it was a great career move.
It was a great career move. Yeah. No, IO was great for
10
me.
out of 10 would do again.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was sad, but also money. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey.
Money, success, all the real meaningful things in life.
Yeah.
Sorry you got left behind.
And he says, well, I regret letting you go.
Ooh.
I should have chained you to the wall again? What, Malcolm?
He regrets allowing her to leave?
What?
That's the wrong thing to say.
I would have gotten up and left. But okay, whatever. And she goes, okay, well, I'm still committed to my career. Like, I'm still going to put my career first, Malcolm. We are going to be friends with benefits, Malcolm. Friends with benefits. And he's like, well, that's okay because I'm going into business here. Presumptuous of you. He literally walked off and was like, Ivanova's here. Cool. I'm opening a business here. Wow. The level of expectation that he has for their relationship is too damn high.
Yeah.
Because now what if she doesn't get with him? Is he going to guilt her? Is he going to love bomb her until she caves because she thinks she owes him?
Now she's going to be in a hostile work environment.
This is some bullshit. And he goes, the important thing is we'll be together again, right? And she just chugs her liquor like, yep. That's the most important thing. Meanwhile, Jakar is stirring up the populace. He's literally standing on this walkway that goes over the Zocalo that I've never seen before, ever. And
it did not just get put in.
It absolutely did not just get put in. And he's like holding court to all of the non-humans on Babylon 5 that is saying some pretty legitimate criticisms, like the humans are not taking this threat seriously. And Garibaldi and Sinclair go to this mob riot thing that Jakar is inciting. And this does not feel like the Jakar from last episode, which is why I pointed out earlier that we sometimes use Jakar as a catalyst for violence in season 1. And it always rubs me a little bit the wrong way because I prefer Jakar the philosopher. But don't worry, he's not gone. He's going to come back. But
I could see Jakar having a discussion with somebody about this and then gradually getting wound up to inciting a riot. But not just straight into mob.
This is the Jakar that attacked a non-military colony and then had Londo's nephew
held prisoner,
into creating a video that said that they were just fine. This is that Jakar.
Yeah, he hasn't had his transformative experience
This
yet.
is not out of character. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying...
It's out of character with the Jakar we know and love.
This was a 180 from last episode because last episode was a preview.
Yeah.
And this is what he actually is right now. And Garibaldi's like, do we have a problem? Do we have a problem, Jakar? And Jakar's like, yeah, problem indeed. 8 non-humans have been attacked because in the meantime, Kieran and Arya are hanging out in the garden area.
Mm-hmm.
And they get shot because these people appear out of nowhere and they're wearing like ninja garb, which J. Michael Straczynski wrote a movie called Ninja Assassin. And I recommend you watch it once in your lifetime because the hilarity of watching ninjas sneak around while going ninja, ninja, ninja.
That's the background music.
Ninja.
It's not the ninjas themselves saying ninja.
No, it's the ninjas.
It is?
Yeah.
I thought the background music was...
They literally are like ninja,
whispering ninja.
It's like the scene in Emperor's New Groove when Krunk is singing his own theme music. And
as he's singing? As he's sneaking? Yeah.
Yeah. Except they're saying the word ninja. So I kind of want these people to be like, ninja. Ninja.
Jameis wanted to do it in this scene, but his producers convinced him not to, so he decided to make a whole movie where they did it.
A whole movie. I went to see that movie because I knew he was the writer. Anyway, watch it one time in your lifetime. And Veer finds them. And Kieran is in a coma, and Arya just got stunned. So they were attacked. That's why it's 8, not 6 now. And we'll talk about that when we go back to the Centauri kids. But he's like, 8 non-humans have been attacked, and you have not made a single arrest. So spare me your platitudes, Commander. What is happening? Sinclair, Commander. We all know why you aren't arresting anybody. We all know. Because it's humans.
You're in love with a human, aren't you?
It's speciest. You're being speciest, and you're not cracking down. If I did it, what would you do? If Anarn did it, how would you react? And honestly, it's a legitimate question. He doesn't ask that question, but it's the hanging in the air question. If this was an alien doing this, wouldn't we have already figured it out? Maybe. And then he goes, so much for Babylon 5's highly vaunted justice. And Garibaldi's response is real great. Yeah, justice you're about to get a taste of if you don't fuck off. Thank you, Garibaldi.
Wrong direction.
Yeah, that was exactly what we needed. Yeah.
I'm just imagining Garibaldi saying something like, humans all look the same.
Well, he's literally like, you need to go or I'm going to arrest you. If you go right now and you go back to your quarters, we'll just call this a wash.
Right.
But if you stay here right now, I'm going to arrest you for inciting a riot. Because he can, because that's what Jakar is doing.
Right.
And honestly, it breaks them up, so it works. I don't know what other way Garibaldi could have broken this up. Because you can't reason your way out of a situation that reason didn't get you into.
Right.
And this is not a reasonable mob. So, okay. Meanwhile, the asshole from earlier that cut himself with his own knife gets beat up by some aliens. That happens.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we get back to Ivanova, which is even worse because she's taken Malcolm home and he follows her in and he's like, so I was hoping the night wouldn't end here. I have this like really sloppy, it's so gross. And honestly, it doesn't feel like Ivanova is into this. And I don't know if this is a just total lack of chemistry between these two actors or what. I wanted Catherine and Sinclair to get together. There was so much 50s chemistry between the two of them. And there is no chemistry between these two people.
Right.
Even like a tiny little bit. And she ends up getting a call from the commander, and she has to take the call in her outfit. And so
it's like getting a work meeting. Just turn your camera off.
Yeah. Well, she can't, I guess. Well, that would have been really funny to answer it with none. It'd been worse, honestly, because what is she wearing? And literally when she walks away to answer the phone, Malcolm is like, that's not very flattering. Fuck you, dude. She told you her career was always going to come first. Anytime they call her, she's going to ditch you like a hot potato.
Yeah.
You just need to get it together. And she literally answers the call. And it's the call of Sinclair being like, come help. Shit's gone hinky. And she's like, Kay. And he walks and stands behind her.
Right.
Which feels so proprietary.
Bold
Like,
move.
I can't with this guy. And he's like, well, did he just say there was a riot? Huh. You mean like somebody got hurt? Like there's a human being somewhere here being vulnerable that I can go recruit? That? You mean that? Oh, did you guys not know that Malcolm is the bad guy?
Malcolm is the Nazi.
Yeah, Malcolm is the Nazi. But Ivanova shows up totally unpinned. She comes into Sinclair's office and her hair is just down. Like she took out the bun.
Yeah.
She took out the braid. She took out the ponytail. It's just...
I need to look more professional.
It honestly looks better than it did when it was all up.
Right.
And Garibaldi looks over at her and he's like, I like your new look. You are on thin ice, Garibaldi. You are on thin fucking ice. I need you to not make any more cracks this episode or I'm going to disavow you entirely. He's like, I like your new look. And she's like, I think you would have more on your mind than my new look. Aren't you failing completely at your job right now?
Isn't this your job?
The job that you're not doing? That one? Isn't that you? That I'm about to do for you?
Weren't you just telling me about your job description?
You mean the one that Sinclair and I are about to do for you? That one? Honestly, if they should have tried recruiting anybody, it would have been Garibaldi.
Yeah.
Because the line...
That's the keys to the station.
The line, I offered her an escort and she didn't take it. I would have been like, oh, yeah, he's one of ours. I said she could have had an escort and she was like, nah, dog. And I was like, cool.
That's exactly the kind of victim blaming that the...
Then get stabbed.
Nazi
I don't
would
care.
use.
I tried to help you and you didn't want it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a pretty good end. He's gone back and forth in this episode and he will improve. I know. I'm triggered by this episode. You just have to ride this out with me. It happens occasionally. It happened in a couple episodes of Forever Night too. And it's okay. We're all going to hold hands and we're going to get through this together because community is how we will get through things together. Let me say it once more time for the people in the back. Community is how we will get through things together. We either get through together or we die alone in the dark. As Babylon 5 will teach us. And sometimes you die alone in the dark for a reason. Anyway, so Sinclair gets called back to Garibaldi's office and Garibaldi's like, oh, ho, ho, I got some shit. So he puts a video up on the video screen viewer and we like zoom in on the video and it is Malcolm recruiting the guy that got beat up for the home guard.
Sword boy.
Yep. And he's like, hey, you like short swords? I got a place you can use them. Not on boxes.
Yuck, yuck, yuck.
And when we pull out from the video, it is Garibaldi, Sinclair, and Ivanova.
All watching.
All watching Malcolm be a douchebag in her quarters. And Susan is shook. She knew this guy. She dated him. She thought she knew him. She thought she was in love with him. She was in love with her career more, but she thought she was in love with this guy.
She thought this was just her pushy ex-boyfriend.
Yeah. And that she was maybe going to get
laid for the first time in years.
Get some physical fun out of this.
Yeah.
And now she finds out he's actual trash. And Sinclair is like, okay, I want to set up a sting and have you tell Malcolm that I'm unhappy with the aliens on the station. And then he's going to try to recruit me. Because the people like this like to recruit people in power.
Right.
That's how they get more power. And she goes, okay, I'll do it on one condition. I get to be there when you take him down. And
Done.
Sinclair's like, done. No problem. I can't trust Garibaldi to be there, so of course it's going to be here. It's only 3 people that work on this station. And there's a reception in the council chambers tonight. So that would be a great time to get the ball rolling.
Bring him along.
Because we literally have a delegation from a new planet here this is going to be the perfect time to act like I don't like aliens. So she's like, cool. They leave, and she trashes the rose. I would have left it. What if he comes to visit?
Mm-hmm.
But it's fine. So then we go to the reception, and I just want to fast forward through this because Sinclair is a giant dick to this poor. She's not a fishwoman. She's not a fishwoman. She has an actual name. It's terrible of me that in this moment, I don't know the name of her species. It's like the Minbari delegation.
That sounds right.
We say it once, and then we say this lady's name because Delenn introduces her to Sinclair. And they're like hydroponics experts. Go figure. And they're like, we're really excited to be here on Babylon 5. We hear you have like the most state-of-the-art hydroponic systems. And he's like, yeah, they should be. They were installed by humans. This would have been the perfect moment to take Delenn aside at least and be like, listen, I'm going to say and do some stuff.
Right. You need to get somebody that knows what's going on that can like follow up behind you and fill everybody else in. Like, oh yeah, Commander Sinclair. Yeah, he was rude right now. You have a message from him in your email. You must not have read it. But
this could have gone. Well, he doesn't know. You can safely say that none of the aliens are on the side of the home guard.
Right.
I have mixed feelings about this whole part because he is an absolute douchebag, and it's for a purpose.
He could have been civil to the aliens and then still been like snide comments off to the side with Malcolm.
Right. He's got to believably have been here as a diplomat and able to pull it off. So there's really nothing that says he couldn't have been kind to these people and then behind their back said something to Malcolm. But he goes over the top to make it obvious that he's uncomfortable being here because he, quote, doesn't like the aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go back to Ivanova's quarters because he talks to Malcolm briefly. Actually, he talks to Malcolm briefly at the reception.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I hate talking to all these fucking aliens.
The job description just says I have to be nice to them, not that I have to like them.
Right. And he goes, I was in the military and I was on the line. And we had a motto there that the only good alien is a dead alien. And it was true then, and it's true now.
And Malcolm's hooked.
And Malcolm is like, oh, say less. And then they go back to his quarters.
Ivanova's quarters.
Yeah. And he's like, we won because the Minbari let us win. And do you know what that victory tasted like? Ashes. And then Malcolm gives him a recruitment speech. And he's basically like, we want Earth back at the center of the universe. Our universe. We want humans to be able to be humans, to be able to exercise their free speech.
We're just asking questions.
Let me say it again for the people in the back. When he says free speech, he doesn't mean free speech. He means the freedom from the consequences of his speech.
Yes.
He didn't say anything about that. I don't know where that came from. It just kind of flew into my head. And I said it out loud. So there we are. We're going to let humans be humans and get back to our roots. And I want to take a moment here and veer a little bit 90 degrees. I know, totally wild. Like we haven't done that ever before. But we, as Americans, we see things like get back to our roots, make Earth great again, some might say. And we really need to let go of the myth of this glorious past that we need to return to.
Right. It was only glorious for straight white men. Correct.
Because I've seen a lot of chatter about all the disaster movies in the 90s and how would it have been so great that we had so few problems in the world that we needed to make up shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to point out that if you ask anyone who is not straight, who is not white, who is not a natural born citizen, whether we had so few problems in the 90s that we needed to make shit up, they would probably look at you like you were crazy, because that is incorrect. The glorious 50s that we want to return to is a myth. The 60s is a myth. The 90s, read up on the AIDS crisis. Take a moment read up on the AIDS crisis and what this country went through, where we were literally not diagnosing people with AIDS because it was a gay disease, it was a black disease, and no one wanted to treat it. And if you didn't diagnose them with it, you didn't have to treat them for it. Reagan wouldn't even admit that it was a problem until 4 years into the AIDS epidemic. So anyway, before you look back and you glorify where we came from, realize that maybe it wasn't as good as you think. We can't live looking back. We have to figure out how to fix what we have right now. And I'm going to get off my soapbox now.
Yeah, going backwards doesn't fix things.
No, going backwards doesn't fix things because backwards wasn't better.
Right.
Yes, we legislated ourselves into a place where we were able to, I don't know, marry who we wanted to. But we didn't change the underlying, the fundamental rot at the core of what we think is a strong foundation, but is actually not at all. Kind of reminds me of, yes, I know. Don't roll your eyes. Atlas Shrugged. When Eddie is talking about that tree on the hill and how he believed the tree was so strong, you could grab the leaves and spin the whole earth and it wouldn't pull the tree from the ground. And then lightning strikes it.
And you find out it's hollow.
And you find out it's hollow because it's been rotting from the inside this whole time. And I'm just going to leave you all with that metaphor. And then we're going to get back to talking about this totally not applicable to our current situation television show. So after Sinclair is a dick and he gets recruited by Malcolm, he gets an invite to meet the friends, Malcolm's friends, which is what they wanted. And he's like, I mean, I'm happy to have you come and talk to them, but we're going to need you to make a gesture to put every alien in this station in their place. And that gesture is to give a talk in front of the entire council and League of Non-Aligned Worlds that is like, actually, there's nothing wrong. We're pretty sure they left. And they're like, okay, cool.
This investigation's over. The people left. It's all good.
They're like, great. So you arrested them? You know who they are? And you didn't tell us about it? And he's like, oh, no, we don't. No. We're just pretty sure they're gone. And Gary, I like Jakar. You think we're pouchlings? Tell me more. How do Narn reproduce? Tell me more for a minute. You think we're going to believe they're simply gone? And Sinclair's like, honestly, I don't give a shit what you think. The investigation is over. Sinclair, out! And he leaves. That's it. And then we find out that the meeting is set. And they are going to meet him in the Zocalo and then follow him to where they need to go. So after he did the whole making himself look like a complete moron in front of the council, isn't it lucky he's proved himself enough to go meet with Malcolm's buddies? So they follow them. Garibaldi tracks them. It happens. And they end up in...
He can track people in the station?
What?
In real time? Wow. He must have just figured out how to do that in the last 10 minutes.
I think he needs to know who to follow because there are 250,000 humans and aliens on Babylon 5.
Yeah, I think Sinclair has a tracker.
He does because they jam it later. So they end up in an empty dock, an empty room full of boxes. You guys, these are a problem. We need to address this. Empty rooms full of boxes are clearly not great.
That's where the trouble always happens.
If you got an empty room full of boxes, just go ahead and stick a guard in there. Shit's gonna happen. It's gonna
make it part of the regular patrol
It's
route.
fine. Just lean into it. Clearly, we can't solve the problem, so we might as well just fix it as it crops up.
Even if these are secure storage for specific people, you could still have a catwalk at the top, back corner of the room.
Yeah.
And have it's walled off. Nobody could get on the catwalk, sneak into the room, steal stuff, and get back out, right?
Just to keep an eye on it.
But
make sure no one's having clandestine
could walk
meetings
through
in there.
And just look at what's happening in the room full of boxes just to catch anybody up to shenanigans.
He needs to bring this up next time he goes to meet with the construction guild.
Yeah.
can we close these rooms off? Can we make this easier to secure? Can we put locks on the door? Like literally anything.
We need a key card access solution.
Yeah. Literally. Can we have 2-factor authentication to get into these rooms? Because clearly this shit ain't working.
we need the identity and access management team on Babylon 5.
Yeah, because anybody can get in here. Because not only is he in here, and Malcolm is in here, and Ivanova is in here, but then the invisibility suits like bloop, bloop, like uninvisibility themselves and come out. They cast a spell or they attack somebody, and their invisibility spell ends.
Yeah.
And Sinclair's like, "Whoa, that's some cool shit. Where'd that come from?" And he's like, "Oh, it's classified military technology that we got from one of our friends."
We got some prototypes.
Yeah, it's blacklight camouflage is what he says. But I'm like, so if you have a blacklight, does it not work? Okay, whatever. He's like, we have friends in very high places. We have friends everywhere. Almost as if they've infiltrated from the bottom to the top.
Are they hiding in the shadows?
Maybe with their blacklight camouflage, Matthew. He's like, unlike some groups, we are both organized, well-connected, and smart. I wrote that in my notes. Unlike some current groups, they are organized and well-connected. And he reveals that they're planning to take out all 4 main ambassadors on Babylon 5 in one single night. And that will be the signal for everyone to take out ambassadors wherever they're stationed, which means they feel comfortable enough here that they have planned to be the catalyst. They are completely confident they could take out all 4 ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
Sinclair needs to go back to Garibaldi and be like, get your shit together. These were 4 dudes with really good ghillie suits, and they were able to infiltrate Babylon 5. Figure out how this is happening.
Right. It's the dozens of collaborators.
Yeah.
Inside of the Babylon 5 command structure.
Yeah, because Ivanov is like, that would take hundreds of people. And Malcolm's like, yeah, like I said, I've got a lot of friends. And Sinclair goes, what do you want us to do? Oh, wait. Was that the prelude to something?
Oh, no. There's a line in Wind and Truth.
Okay.
Where it says, Adolin was not radiant. He was just a man with very good friends.
Aww. Sinclair's like, cool. So, like, what do you need us for? Clearly, you've already got this under wraps. And he's like, yeah, I want you to get us into the ambassadorial wing and then get us off the station. And this would honestly be a whole lot easier if they could have just gone to Negrath. Paid Negrath. But they can't because he's an alien.
In my headcanon, Negrath has an agreement with Garibaldi. And for things that Negrath has a line to protect that will protect the station. Like,
well, that's his livelihood.
Right. Negrath will turn people over to Garibaldi if Negrath's understanding of what that person is going to do is that this person is going to be such a danger to Babylon 5 that it puts Negrath's position at risk.
Honestly,
right?
Garibaldi has to be aware of Negrath or he looks incompetent.
Right.
Because
so
it would be like no one knowing who Al Capone was.
Right. And I've heard arguments from book series and kind of historian philosophers that the state has to maintain some kind of sanctioned smuggling because it lets the state observe that smuggling and have some type of, just observability on it. So Garibaldi has to be aware of Negrath and how Negrath operates and allow Negrath to do a certain amount of shenanigans.
Yeah.
With the understanding that Negrath will report any large enough risks to Garibaldi.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But the Home Guard would not go to Negrath because Negrath is an alien.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They can't go to Negrath, but if they'd just gone to Negrath, he'd have just given them access cards. But maybe not. Maybe he would have turned them into Garibaldi in your headcanon. But they can't go, it doesn't matter. The point is moot because they can't work with aliens that would
On principle.
undermine their overall message.
Yeah.
That aliens can do things that we can't. And Sinclair looks over at Ivanova, and Ivanova's like, yeah, sure. No, we can all do that. And he's like, cool. Yeah, can do. Get you into the ambassadorial wing. I'll get you off the station. Just go ahead and give me a list of all known associates on Babylon 5, and I'll get that handled for you. Not a problem. And he's like, cool, I'll do that immediately as soon as you kill this delegate. And he
as
pulls,
a show of loyalty.
He pulls the poor lady that he was so mean to at the council and like tosses her on the ground and gives him a gun, which he also snuck onto the station, and is like, cool, shoot her. And Sinclair's like, oh no. And he does like I feel so embarrassed. This is so tough right now. This is so hard for me right now. This poor woman is on her knees. Like, please don't shoot me. Please. Please. Like, I'll do anything. Just let me go. And luckily security arrives, because as soon as they get there, Malcolm cuts them off from security, and Garibaldi's like, cool, go, go, go. Thank you, Garibaldi. The shining moment for Garibaldi in this entire episode is he doesn't wait a second. He's like, cool, go after him. Let's get this done. They arrive. Sinclair punches a guy, grabs Ivanova, and jumps over a crate, completely leaving the delegate on the ground, on her knees, in the middle of the firefight against an overwhelming number of people that hate aliens.
Right.
The fact that none of them spare a moment to just go ahead and kill her, because she has also seen all of them.
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to... And then she has to like get herself out of there. She crawls behind a crate on her own. It's not the best moment for Sinclair. Honestly, Ivanova was fine. She could have taken care of herself.
Right. And Sinclair's probably wearing some type of armor.
I don't believe that he did not save her. But I don't know what the thinking was here for the way we structured this scene.
Mm-hmm.
But Ivanova was fine. She's a career military person. Let her jump behind the crate on her own fucking self.
Yeah.
Grab this woman and get her behind the crate, or throw yourself on top of her.
Right.
Don't. It's not a great moment. It's not my favorite moment. I'm going to chalk this up to a lack of foresight in terms of how it was going to be viewed when it aired.
Yeah.
And not a commentary on Sinclair.
The threshold for like the critical eye of the viewer has gotten
way higher.
Way higher.
Way higher. Yeah. That's what I'm going to chalk this up to.
Yeah.
And not that we literally left this poor woman high and dry, and then we never see her again. We don't know if he apologizes. He could have completely scuttled Earth's relationship with this entire planet, and we have no idea. But Malcolm tries to sneak up on Sinclair. He circles around because Sinclair's hiding. He's like firing from behind this position of cover, and so Malcolm sneaks behind, but Ivanova jumps over, grabs a gun, and is pointed in the opposite direction. So when he pops out, Ivanova's pointing a gun at him, and she's like, literally, give me a reason. I will shoot you in the fucking face. Thank you, Ivanova. She does not stand on, but I love him. She's like, no, I'll fucking kill him. That's fine.
Absolutely.
Shame me once, I'll shoot you in the face.
It only takes one time.
Yeah, and then we get to watch all of those people getting frog marched off the station.
Yeah.
I actually think they don't make it back to Earth. I think they get rescued, but that's fine. That's for another episode.
Yeah.
But as they're walking them by, the Minbari and Jakar are standing there, and Mayan is like, such great hatred. Like, wow, that's a lot of, it takes so much energy to hate people.
Right.
It consumes you. It consumes your life. It consumes your energy. It consumes your will to create. It consumes everything about you.
But it's an effective diversion from your own suffering.
It is.
And the true, like the real causes of your own suffering.
Yeah.
If you are directing all your attention at something else.
Right. Exterior, external. This person is hurting me because they're making me hate them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Delenn follows up with, well, human ways are often incomprehensible, and in time, one learns to live with them. And Jakar goes, if one has an exceedingly strong constitution. It's a good moment.
Yeah.
It's a good moment. And then we get Malcolm's parting shot to Ivanova. He's like, I can't believe you did this to me, Susan. What kind of human are you? You gave up this dick? For what? She goes, honestly, I find them more human than you and your kind. Not that you'd understand. And he goes, I don't even know you anymore. And she goes, bitch, I never knew you.
I can't believe you did this to me, Susan. What kind of a human are you? Decide. Then.
I found many of these people to be more human than you and your kind. But I don't suppose you'd understand that.
I don't know you anymore.
I never knew you.
I faked every orgasm.
And that's the end. That's the end of the episode. That's the end of the episode.
All right,
them
now
leaving.
for the sweet finish.
I do like I faked every orgasm. That would have been the better. That would have been the better parting shot.
Yeah, that's. I feel like if it was made today, that would have been more the vibe.
Yeah.
You never pleased me.
Yeah, like from Count de Monte Cristo. You did please me some of the time.
Yeah.
You never pleased me.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a great parting line. Hit him where it hurts.
Yep.
So now let's talk about the other plot line that is happening, which is in wild contrast. You know what's really funny is I remember this plot line. I remember the line that Londo says, the real impactful line.
Yeah.
I had totally dumped the information that it was in combination with this other plot line. Maybe it was triggering back then. I don't know.
This is a formative moment for the depth of Londo's character.
Yeah. And they really sandwich it in here with, it's in a shit sandwich is what it's in.
Yeah.
I mean, no, the other plot line's not shit in that it's bad.
It's that it's unpleasant.
It's an unpleasant but necessary plot line for us to have because this is not Star Trek. This is not a utopia.
Right.
This is something far different. It's us.
Right.
A couple 100 years in the future.
Right. Star Trek is an optimistic future to strive for.
Yeah.
But Babylon 5 is more like where we are right now.
What is our society projected into the future?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would happen if we found new people to hate? What if humans go out unhealed into the universe and we just find new people to hate? What would that be like? And you know what? It's gonna get dirty.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna get better. And we're gonna ride through this together because like in real life, it's gonna get dirty and we have to hope it's gonna get better.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Jakar says, greater than the death of anything else is the death of hope.
Yep.
So Londo has we got the it's not fair to whoop, 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 back to where we left off. We got the it's not fair from Arya.
We want to be with each other.
And Londo is talking to Veer.
Great
He's like,
sacrifices.
He's like, do you have any idea how much trouble these lovebirds have given me? I've already had 12 messages from Centauri Prime. I'm having to talk to people. I'm having to do my job, Veer. And Veer's like, what are you going to do? And he's like, the only thing I can do, I'm going to send them back so they can come to their senses.
This is our tradition. We have to maintain the traditions or the whole empire unravels.
Right. I have to believe that these traditions are so important, you can't let them go, or everything I've ever done in my whole life is a lie. That's not what he says, but that's the whole point of this is. And Veer's like, but they're in love. And he's like, love? Ugh. And he picks up his photos and he's like, these are my wives. Pestilence, famine, and death. Do you think I married them for their personalities? Their personalities could shatter entire planets.
Love. Pah! Overrated. Here, look. These are my 3 wives. Pestilence, famine, and death. Do you think I married them for their personalities? Their personalities could shatter entire planets. Arranged marriages, every one. But they worked out.
Now, love is what he had with Adira.
I know, which I think is what he's thinking about when we'll get there.
Yeah. Does Adira ever come back?
No.
Okay.
No. He's like, but they worked out. They inspired me. Knowing they were waiting for me at home keeps me here, 75 light years away. And Veer's like,
I love when we actually meet them, though.
I know. And then Veer is like, if you send them back home, they're just going to run away again. And he's like, yes, but they will not run away back here. So they will no longer be my problem. And if you need me, I'll be in the casino. And then he leaves. So meanwhile, this is when the Centauri lovebirds are hanging out in the garden and they get shot by the home guard.
Yeah.
Well, Kieran gets shot. She gets hit with like, not a defibrillator, but
basically
a shock stick is what they call it. And that's it's where the two plot lines actually overlap, is because they get hurt. And then we come to the med center because Kieran is in the med center in a coma because he was shot at close range with a PPG because he pulled the mask off that one guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, shit, he can identify me. Shoot him. What are they going to do otherwise?
Yeah, he got shot in the face.
Yeah. Well, he shoots him in the thoracic region and the stomach, which they don't have any. We don't know where anything the layout is because we know they don't have major arteries in their wrists.
Right.
So where is their heart?
How does their circulatory system work?
What one do we watch where their heart's in their butt? You have to stab them in the butt. I'm going to have to think on that.
I don't remember that.
I know. You're looking at me like I made that up, but I did not make that up.
There's
that
the
is
one
from
where they
something.
hide things in their armpit because that's their reproductive parts.
Oh. Okay. We've watched too much sci-fi. That's what the breakdown
That's a
of
Babylon
this.
5 one.
Oh, we're going to get there.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Do you remember what episodes?
No, I don't remember that episode.
I am green. I am purple.
Oh, that one. Yes. Oh, no. God, we're going to have to talk about green and purple. Okay, we're not there yet. That's way in season 2. Actually, I think it's the first episode of season 2.
Yeah.
Green, purple. If you know what I'm talking about, you're laughing right now, and I hope so, because we needed a minute of levity in this episode. But Arya is there with Kieran at the med center, and she won't leave. They're like, you need to go. You can just rest. You need to go. You need to just rest. You got shot too. You got hurt too. So go.
He needs to be alone to heal.
Yeah. Oh, no. Arya's like, I can't leave. What if he wakes up and I'm not here? Or what if
he needs me nearby to heal?
He can feel my love and he's going to come back because he knows I'm here. And Londo is like, that's some bullshit. Can you just go home now, please? And the Minbari lady stands up, the poet, of course, stands up and is like, I mean, you should probably listen to her because we Minbari believe that love is a very potent force for healing and that such feelings can turn the tide when all else fails. And Londo's like, oh, okay, I see. And so then if he dies, despite the great power of love, what happens then? And she's like, okay, then every moment that they've spent together will lessen her grief. And he's like, yeah, okay, so what does a Minbari poet know about Centauri feelings? And she goes, I've traveled far and seen much, and I think all beings are defined by their capacity and need for love. And Londo's like, okay, I mean, but she's going to learn to live without it. And this is when the Minbari lady goes, like you did?
I would expect such logic from a poet. What can a Minbari know about Centauri feeling?
Ambassador, I have traveled far and seen much, and what I have seen tells me that all sentient beings are best defined by their capacity and their need for love.
And she will learn to live without it.
As you did.
Oh, is that what happens?
Oh, you mean like you did, Londo? And Londo's like,
nope. You weren't supposed to open that door. That's the no-no door.
That's the no-no door. Don't touch that one. Shh. There's pain there. I can't talk about it. That would make me not manly, not Centauri. But that's the trigger. She touches the no-no door. She touches the pain door because Veer ends up going and finding Londo in this rock garden.
Sulking in the rock garden.
The rock garden. Completely shook. He must just be like, and just leave. Like, just walk out.
Right? Like, he doesn't even respond.
No.
He just, like, takes a breath in.
Tears
like holds,
tears well up in his eyes.
And he just turns around and
leaves.
Slowly turns
Yes,
around
that's
and
how
walks right out the
that
door.
scene has to end because then Veer goes and finds him and he's like, "What do you want, Veer?" And Veer's like, "I'm here to tell you something." And he's like, "Okay, yeah, what is it?" And he goes, "You were wrong." And Londo goes, "What? I was wrong. Never wrong." He goes, "They want to be together because they love each other. Is that going to destroy the great Centauri Republic? Is love what's going to bring down the Centauri Republic?" Ironically. "We can't turn our back on tradition." That's what Londo says. And Veer's like, "Damn tradition. Kieran might die because our glorious traditional values are wealth and power over love." And Londo just goes, he like sighs. This is Peter Jurassic turns it up for this scene because he goes, "My shoes are too tight."
Excuse me? Something my father said. He was old, very old at the time. I went into his room and he was sitting alone in the dark, crying. So I asked him what was wrong, and he said, "My shoes are too tight, but it doesn't matter because I have forgotten how to dance." I never understood what that meant until now. My shoes are too tight. And I have forgotten how to dance.
And Veer just goes, "Well, I'm sorry, what?" He goes, "It's something my father said when he was old. I went into his room and he was sitting alone in the dark crying. And so I asked him what was wrong and he said, 'My shoes are too tight, but it doesn't matter because I have forgotten how to dance.'" I remember that line.
Right?
And in fact, I told my sister we were going to be watching Babylon 5 and she texted back, "My shoes are too tight."
Yep.
What an amazing analogy for what it is like to forget how to be young, to forget yourself.
To bind yourself so much by cultural expectations
that you forget yourself.
Yeah.
That you
forget
lose,
how to play.
That you forget how to be you. That you forget the essential parts of what made you you. And it doesn't matter.
Now you're aware of it.
But it doesn't
aware
matter
of the loss
because you don't know how to get it back because your shoes are too tight.
Yep.
It's so that is the Babylon 5. I mean, I'm here for the political commentary too, but the way that he crafted the dialogue in this series is so beautiful that there are definitely moments that feel like poetry. And this is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "I didn't know what that meant until now, but my shoes are too tight, and I have forgotten how to dance." And Veer's like, "I have no idea what you just said." And he just stands up and goes, "Nor should you." And he pats Veer on the shoulder and leaves. Like, good for you, Veer. I'm glad you don't know what I'm talking about. Meanwhile, Kieran wakes up, maybe because Arya is there.
You're crying.
I know. It's such a beautiful moment. And to realize, I don't know. It's interesting because Veer is supposed to be younger than Londo. He's portrayed as the younger character.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter Jurassic is still alive. And Veer is not in real life.
Yeah, the actors.
And that's also kind of sad. That literally at this point, Peter Jurassic has outlived the majority of the cast of this show.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he's also on Canva. Cameo. If you want Peter Jurassic to talk to you personally, you can pay and make that happen. This is not a sponsored post. Just know that in his trailer, he does the Londo voice and he holds up a picture of Londo. It's the best. I'm just going to insert that right in there. Then we go back to the med lab And Londo explains his solution because he's figured out a way to satisfy everybody. He's going to send them back, but when they get back, his cousin...
He found a compromise that follows historical traditions.
Yeah.
But also allows them to be together.
And honestly, this is a little twisty. You're going to go back. You're going to get adopted by the same guy and get raised together. And then later you can have the ability to marry each other. But fine, don't question this too deeply.
It's not adoption as in being taken.
Fostering.
Yeah. It's fostering. You're being taken care of by another family.
Right.
You're not being adopted into that family.
Yeah. I don't know what information Londo gave up to make this happen.
Oh, yeah.
But it was big and
he
it was worth it.
had to pull out his purple files.
Yeah. He had to because his cousin's going to take them in, foster them, and then let them marry each other. So there's going to be no profit in this.
Mm-hmm.
And Veer actually pitches in and explains that the fostering system used to be done a lot more. It's not done as much anymore, but it's still legal. And Londo goes, "Oh, Veer, you've been studying." And Veer gives him this look. It's like,
oh, he's so proud.
I haven't. Thank you for noticing. Yeah. Thank you. I love it so much. And they're like, "Why? Why would you do this? I thought you were just going to send us back." And he goes, "Because you are still children, and children should be allowed to dance." And that's the end of the Londo plotline. And honestly, it's not the better plot line. I don't really know how to... It's the less painful of the two plot... Like, I'm glad we put these two together. Usually we combo these.
Yeah, I guess we needed a balance.
Usually we combo these very intense episodes with something slightly more comedic. Or we present this in a slightly more comedic way. But this was a gut punch episode. It was like, let me punch you in the nuts and then let me punch you in the face. Like, let me do it both ways. All at the same time.
Punch you in the nuts and then punch you in the heart.
Yeah, the heart. Thank you. Yeah, that's a much better one. I'm gonna rip your heart out and like put Londo in there.
But you're gonna be glad.
And you're gonna be glad that Londo's gonna have this moment because you're gonna see a side of Londo. The why does Londo always drunk Londo?
Mm-hmm.
And we're also going to tackle what at the time was dramatic, but was not. It didn't hit the same. Watching this last time, it was hard to watch because I was mad that I could believe that people could be like that. It felt bad this time because I could turn on the news and people are like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the 90s, this felt contrived.
I wouldn't say contrived. It felt,
I guess.
It felt possible, but not probable.
Yes. It felt implausible.
Like I could see this happening. I hope it never does.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see this happening. Oh, this is a new interesting take on what would happen when humans go to space. Okay. A non-utopian version. I'm here for this. And now it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is tough. Yeah. And I actually saw, I'm on Blue Sky. If you want to find me on Blue Sky, I think S&B Network on Blue Sky. But someone was like, wow, I started watching Babylon 5 and let me tell you guys, it hits different. And I was like, I feel that. And I knew it would. That's why we switched to Babylon 5. Because I felt like our voices were better suited to Babylon 5 in this current moment.
Yeah, it was going to be more productive.
Yeah.
More useful.
It's difficult to not feel impotent in a climate like this.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yes, we voted. Yes, I'll vote in 2 years. Yes, I'm active in my local community. Yes, I do a lot of stuff on a small scale, but what can we do to affect change for the people that are suffering right now on a national scale and not a whole lot?
Right. And the worst thing to do is to be silent.
Correct. So this is us not being silent. So I think Babylon 5 opens up a way for us to talk about these things in a way that's, we are a politically focused podcast, but when it pops up on Babylon 5, yes, I can work in, things like you're not alone. You're not alone. I'm not alone. Sometimes it feels like you are. And I think that the takeover of a lot of our online community forums first they took us off of all of these specialty forums that were run by fans and segregated us all onto these megalith communities, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And now they control what we see on those platforms. And that's not a conspiracy theory. It's just facts. That's what the algorithm does, is it controls what pops up in your discovery feeds or your For You page or whatever. And it can feel isolating because it's showing you things that are designed to take away your hope, and they're designed to make you feel helpless, and they're designed to make you feel alone. And you're not. Can you do things on a big scale? Maybe not. Not everybody has that privilege, and that's okay. But you can help somebody today. You can talk to somebody when you're out and about. If you're ever in a firefight, you can save the person that's in the middle of the room and not the person that can obviously already save themselves. That was a Babylon 5 reference. Yeah, and I think that I'm just going to leave it there. And if you didn't feel triggered by this episode, maybe watch it again and just examine those feelings too. So I guess we'll just leave it there. We live for the one.
We die for the one.
Until next time, friends.
Bye.
Why? Because you are still children. And children should be allowed to dance. Wir